Good kill, good kill. Hey, good kill.
The F-15 Eagle has long been a legendary fighter, but even from its conception, there were plans to take the aircraft even further and push it to even higher limits. Faced with the looming threat of nuclear war with the Soviet Union, the United States began testing next-generation capabilities before even the first dozen F-15s rolled off the assembly line. In the 49 years since the F-15 Eagle first entered service, the air superiority fighter has proven itself in combat time and time again, racking up an astonishing 104 kills with no losses to the F-15. To this day, the twin-engine F-15 remains the fastest fighter in the American arsenal. With a top speed of Mach 2.5, it surpasses even the F-22 and F-35. Around 1975, the United States became interested in the concept of supermaneuverability. Supermaneuverability is an aircraft's capability to execute tactical maneuvers that are not possible with purely aerodynamic mechanisms. Such maneuvers may use controlled side-slipping and angles of attack beyond maximum lift. This capability was researched beginning in 1975 at the Langley Research Center in the United States, and eventually resulted in the development of the McDonnell Douglas F-15 STOL MTD. This aircraft was a two-seater F-15B and was to be used as a one-off technology demonstrator in a series of advanced tests regarding maneuver technology and short takeoff and landing. The F-15 in question was serial number 71-0290 and rolled off the assembly line in 1973. This aircraft would go on to contribute enormously to the United States' next generation of aircraft. As previously mentioned, in 1975, Langley Research Center began to conduct programs studying two-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles. Government and industry studies of non-asymmetric two-dimensional nozzles in the early 1970s had identified significant payoffs for thrust vectoring 2D nozzle concepts, which had obviously attracted the attention of the Air Force. In 1977, Langley started a system integration study of thrust vectoring, thrust reversing, and 2D nozzles on the F-15 with McDonnell Douglas. In 1984, the Flight Dynamics Laboratory and the Air Force Aeronautical Systems Division awarded a contract to McDonnell Douglas for an advanced development STOL MTD experimental aircraft. The vector control of the engine outflow was further supported by the addition of canards in 1988, just in front of the F-15's traditional wings. The canards themselves were actually modified horizontal tail surfaces stolen or borrowed from the FA-18 Hornet. The proof of concept was done on the second F-15B off the assembly line with serial number 71-0291. By using these additions, the F-15 technology demonstrator managed to take off at speeds as low as 42 miles per hour and reduce the length of the runway required for takeoff by 25%. In order to shorten landing requirements, the program leveraged reversible thrust from the aircraft's engines in conjunction with its canards and thrust vector controls to reduce landing roll by an astonishing 78%. While a standard F-15 Eagle needs more than 7,500 feet of clear runway to land, the F-15 STOL MTD could do it in just 1,650 feet. The front canards also help to increase maneuverability at lower speeds. A similar approach has since been adopted by China's J-20, the nation's first stealth fighter. By August 15th of 1991, when McDonnell Douglas ended its program after accomplishing their flight objectives, the F-15 STOL MTD achieved some impressive performance results. It demonstrated vector takeoffs with rotations at speeds as low as 42 miles per hour, a 25% reduction in takeoff roll, landing on just 1,650 feet of runway, accompanied by thrust reversal in flight to produce rapid deceleration. When TF-15 or 710290 was handed over to NASA added the Pratt & Whitney pitch-yaw balance beam nozzle on a new set of engines, the Pratt & Whitney F100 PW229. Unlike the previous thrust vector control apparatus under the STOL MTD program, which utilized a simpler two-directional thrust vector control that allowed the pilot to orient the outflow of thrust up to 20 degrees up or down, these new nozzles offered a full 360-degree arc where the nozzles could redirect outflow. Combined, these systems produced a new aircraft that bore only a passing resemblance to the F-15 it started out as, and according to the Air Force and NASA observations, was actually a better performer in the air. NASA officials estimated that stability at supersonic speeds was improved by a factor of more than 100% with the addition of the new front canards. The intent behind these efforts was never truly to add to the capabilities of the F-15, but rather to test what capabilities the United States could develop for future generations of fighters. For example, from testing and research by the STOL MTD program, the United States Air Force abandoned the concept of super maneuverability as counterproductive to BVR engagements, as the Cobra maneuver leaves the aircraft in a state of near zero energy, having bled off nearly all of its speed in performing the maneuver without gaining any compensating altitude in the process. During one-on-one engagements, this leaves the aircraft very vulnerable to both missile and gun attack by a wingman or other hostile, even if the initial threat aircraft overshoots the super maneuvered aircraft. Other aspects of the F-15 STOL MTD program would go on to be implemented in the F-15E Strike Eagle, making it one of the most effective air-to-ground aircraft operational today. Alright guys, let's get right into this fight. As you can see, we are in the F-15, the underdog, I guess you could say, for this fight. Let's see how it does here against the F-22. Both of us very, very good at slow speed maneuvering, so I think it'll be an interesting fight. Here we go into the one circle. It is a Hobbs fight. Hobbs obviously being high off bore sight. Look at that tone, but he's a little too close, so I'm not going to waste my missile. I'm going to stay in this with him. I did the first turn with an F-22 pretty decently in the F-15 STOL MTD. Short takeoff and landing maneuver technology demonstrator. Look at this nice roll. Oh, if only I could get a lock there, that would have been great. I would have been able to get like a flat spin F-22 kill. Fox 2, and it looped, but oh, it's looping. Oh, I think it might. Yes, it hit him. Wow, I saw that missile loop, and there it is. You didn't see that coming, I bet you. Neither did he. He was beating me though, for sure. So the 9X, shout out to that AIM-9X for saving my life and doing all the heavy lifting there. Off to a good start here for the F-15 STOL MTD. So as we talked about in the intro of the video, a lot of the things that was learned from the F-15 STOL variant was actually used in development of the F-22 and many other aircrafts in the future. Really, it was very much a technology demonstrator. Into the merge here once again, one circle. And here we go, Fox 2. And that did not hit him, and it might loop around. Let's just wait for that. But you can see how quickly the F-22 takes my 6 after that first turn. I can kind of keep up with him for one turn, but that's about it. Look at the separation here. I'm a little bit concerned by it. Absolutely dumping flares. Trying to get that flat spin kill. I can do a nice little roll when I get super slow. That's, I guess, like a signature move, if you will, for this thing. but she's quite a bit heavier than an F-22, and you can just tell by him just flying the loops around me. He's got a Fox 2 off. It doesn't track. I'm still alive. I'm going to reverse the turn, but careful not to hit the ground here. We might actually hit the ground. I got to pull up. He's above me. Ooh, wow, that was very close. Roll back into him here. Alright, we're still in this fight by some miracle here. I just can't get him out in front. It's so hard. He's trying to kill me with guns. I think he's out of missiles, actually. Otherwise, he wouldn't be using guns. Yeah.
Fire. Right?
I was expecting him to build some separation there for a Fox 2 shot, but therefore, I forgot to jink the gunshot there. So, good kill to the F-22. He was dominant pretty much the entire fight, so I think he deserved to win that for sure. Now, it is interesting that, you know, the performance of this F-15, the F-15, even the normal variant, has some pretty interesting characteristics on the one circle. It can do some pretty cool things, especially when you do differential thrust with it. So this thing with the thrust vectoring and the canards is doing some very interesting moves here. Into the merge. The interesting thing here is that nobody has a helmet mounted sight. Here we go, Fox 2 from me. As soon as I get tone, I'm going to shoot it. Let's keep it super slow and tight with this F-22. Look at this. Maybe we can roll on top of him here and get another Fox 2 shot off. No tone. He's got a Fox 2 off. Look at this. So tight. Look how close he is. Can we roll on top of him? Get the gun? Yes! There you go. Okay, let me just not hit the ground. We got him. That's the gun pod, by the way. The F-15 STOL does not have an internal gun. They were removed to put the canards in, so it is carrying a belly-mounted gun pod. Look at that, Splash 1 F-22. But yeah, that gun pod, very similar to like the F-4 during Vietnam. They just strapped a gun pod on there. In real life, it didn't have one, of course. It wasn't a fighter, it was a demonstrator. So there it is. We just gun killed an F-22. That's pretty cool. And I think a lot of people are under the impression that the F-15 here was cancelled or something because it wasn't good enough or whatever. It was never intended to go into serial production. It was just a demonstrator, an experimental aircraft, if you will. Back in the merch here, one circle. Everybody's dropping a whole lot of flares because there was decent separation there. Fox 2 for me. Once again, in case it loops, you never know with these 9Xs. Whenever I get tone, I'm going to shoot one. Thin profile to avoid the gunshot. So if you can see an incoming gunshot and there's an opportunity for you to provide a side profile, your thinnest profile, it might go a long way to saving your life, and I think that's what happened there. Unfortunately, now I'm in a 2-circle with an F-22, and I just ran out of flares. That was my last flare. Okay, never say never. It's not over till the fat lady sings. Okay, well, the fat lady was indeed singing in the last round. So, you know, the F-22, as always, a very difficult opponent. Although I will say the F-15 in slow speeds faring a little bit better than I would have expected. And many other fighters have done against the F-22. Into the one circle here, we'll keep him the roller. I was pressing the button. I'm not sure why my 9X didn't come off. The separation's a little high here, so whenever he did get a Fox 2 off, dropping a lot of flares in case it loops. But whenever you feel like you're in an IR Wes or you're going to enter one very soon, that's when you want to be dropping your flares. And pre-flaring as well with these more modern missiles. Very high countermeasure resistance. We're going to reverse the turn here. Oh, I think we just lost control. Just a little bit of over rudder there. That's going to cost me. And there he is on my 6. Unfortunately, I think I can hear a fat lady. Alright, so it's 3-2 for the Raptor, and this will be the last round. So if I can beat him here, it'll be 3-3, and it's quite the achievement to tie with a Raptor. So I would be very pleased with that from the F-15 here. I'm already pretty pleased. I think we've had some pretty cool kills on the F-22. Once again into the merge, always one circle to jam that Wes. Okay, right here, let me get toned, there we go, Fox 2. And that might loop. That's what I've learned, to shoot them anyway, because they might loop. Avoid that nose. Let's roll on top, maybe we can get another gun pod kill here, that'd be pretty cool. He just climbs over the nose here, Fox 2 again, because I had tone, it almost gets him. Once again, a little bit too much rudder there. I'm dropping flares because he does have my 6. And here we go. Fox 2 just went right over my head there. And here we go. We got him on my 6. That's going to be an issue. We're going to reverse the turn here. We can only go for an overshoot from here. And he doesn't look like he's very interested in that, to be honest.